kicks, I think 4 kicks, is shit. I think Lola here was not used to a big occasion.
Lee Whitnell says, daylight robbery. Huddersfield were the best team on the day, but couldn't take their opportunity to get far enough ahead from the tee or punish Wigan fully for their errors. So in the last 5 minutes, there was an air of inevitability about Wigan's game-winning moment. Credit to the Pies goal line defence, which kept them in it, but the Giants were lamenting a golden opportunity that they let slip through their fingers. Smith was excellent again for Wigan, as was Russell of Huddersfield. They've both come a long way in the past year, possibly an England halves pairing of the future. Question mark.
I must have read your mind on that one, Mark.
Do you know what? Mark, I've held back from saying it, but this whole Huddersfield were the best team on the day thing. Huddersfield were good, don't get me wrong, but Wigan were the worst team on the day, and Wigan were the best team on the day because Wigan made the most mistakes for certain, but they also created the most opportunities for certain. Huddersfield were more than just there as a passenger in the game, don't get me wrong, but if they were the best team, they would have won. Goal kicking or anything aside, and they've all said that. Huddersfield players have all said that. It's not the goal kicking that cost us the game, it was the inability to score tries when they had position and territory.
But at the same time, when they had possession and territory, they weren't pushing passes, were they? They weren't creating those chances. And my theory is this kind of thing about, kind of dying with the ball. I wonder if the result of the semi-finals come into this, in the sense that Saints were pushing for another try when they were ahead, and the pushed pass kind of went wrong, and it kind of cost them. It was kind of like the game plan was almost let's try not to lose.
Yeah.
But that's not the way you do it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Alan, there. I think that, as it got to the latter stages of the game, Wigan were looking for a way to win, whereas Huddersfield were looking for a way not to lose. So I think you're probably right in that point. I think, Mark, I think Matt Pete, again, came across as very eloquent. I think he's winning a lot of fans from neutrals as well, Matt Pete. Not necessarily making them Wigan fans, but I think he comes across very well-spoken, very thoughtful. Even after the game when he was saying he wanted to say to Ian Watson that, that he thought that they played well and were better for more parts of the game, but didn't want to come across as, being...
condescending,
Yeah, condescending. I think Huddersfield were better for larger parts of the game, and by better, yes, that means making less mistakes. They weren't as threatening by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Huddersfield were in the ascendancy for more of the game than Wigan were. Let's not forget, Wigan were only in front for the 10 minutes after Field's try up until Huddersfield took the lead back, and then for the last 3 or 4 minutes, those were the only 2 periods of the game where Wigan had the lead. I think Pete worded it better than anybody else, where he said, I thought Huddersfield were the better team for large parts of the game, not necessarily saying they were the better team overall.
Game,
yeah.
I suppose that's what Watson said too, to be fair. He said it the same way, didn't he? We were the better team for large parts, but...
Yeah, I think Watson came across very well. Obviously, he was upset about the Smithies, Smithies not being sin bin, but I think both coaches came across very well, and I don't think anybody, I think they were magnanimous in victory and defeat, both coaches in that respect.
Speaking of Huddersfield people who come across well, do you want to tell us what Mark had to say, David?
Yeah, Mark and W. The attitude and effort was all there, and winning it off the back of some classic Kajildri magic would have been perfect, but sometimes that's how sport goes. It'd be easy to talk about missing Farge, losing Hill, Smithy's shithousery, or goal kicking, and yes, those are all factors, but ultimately it comes down to a problem I've been bringing up all season. We had all the possession and field position in the first half, and yet went in at half-time just 4 points up. You can't have that kind of dominance for 40 minutes in a cup final against a team like Wigan and still be relying on touchline conversions from your fourth-choice kicker to win the game. But above all else, I'm so proud of the team. They were in it till the death and their heads never dropped. You'd never have guessed it was our first final in 13 years, and based on that showing, I don't think we'll have to wait so long for the next one. Side note, I forgot to mention this on the day, but the morning of, I remembered that you'd backed us to win the cup at the start of the season, and then I remembered how much we as a club love to fuck up your predictions. We had no chance, to be honest. Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, on Lola Haya as well with the kick in, I think Ian Watson said, after the games, like, almost that we win as a team, we lose as a team kind of mentality. I think he said after the game he'd had a word with Lola Haya, which again, partially, I think Watson, they must have somebody else that can kick. They must have, maybe they didn't want to risk Russell because of his hamstring, but they must have somebody else that can have a crack at kicks.
To be honest, the kick that sealed the deal for it being a problem was the penalty that was missed, because he hit the post from the sideline, then he missed one from kickable, like 10 metres in from touchline, but not nailed on. And then he missed that one. And the last try was right in the, because Huddersfield weren't creating chances. They only tried to score in the second half, was literally in the tiniest corner of the field away from the goals stick. So it's a little bit harsh, remember, it is for the game Lola here lost for goal kicking, because 3 of his goal kicks were difficult goal kicks, and one of those hit the post.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Watson, he said, he'd had a word with Lollahea and he said it wasn't to blame, but he said knowing too he'd be kicking himself, but probably missed that anyway.
Do you want to do Matt's, Alan?
Yeah, so Matt Speakman says, what a win. Number 20. For all the talk of Huddersfield being the better side, it means nothing. Go for 2 every time and keep taking the tackle on the last, and you deserve to lose. Wigan played more rugby, 3 good tries. Smithy's tackle was borderline yellow, but holding down French at half-time was definite. Great support from Wigan, and great to see the players and staff celebrating. The town can get behind this team. Also, I like Chris McQueen, but his try was just as much obstruction as Singleton, and I love seeing French and Field work together. They have an understanding.
I guess he's referring to Cudjoe's dummy run, which took out Bibby from the play. I think it was a defensive read rather than obstruction, personally. But Tim G Radio said, my second cup final and second stadium. Took 2 brand new rugby leaguers from the West Hampstead Hamsters, that's his Masters team, and no, his tag team, isn't it, Tim's team, who enjoyed the event and were keen enough to suggest a whole team trip for the World Cup semi. I thought the attendance was good considering the earlier date, cost crisis, and the fact that there had been minimal promotion, particularly in the local area and to any Southern Rugby League club. Tottenham were for future Magic weekend. It was a close final with plenty of skill on show to entertain the neutral. Lol here played well in open play for the Cowbellers, although McQueen rightly man of the match. Wigan deserved the win as they kept fighting. Thought Lulu I was out when sat on the edge of the bench before coming on to replace Concussed to produce pass of the decade. Hold on, has he been talking to David Hunter before he's done this?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Wigan could have used French more, seemed hesitant to get the ball to him. I think French had more touches in this game than I can remember him having in any other game this season. It's just they were all tackle one or taking the on tackle one or on tackle taking the catch.
Yeah, definitely. Apart from the obvious setting up the field try, he didn't really get much open space at all. And as you said, the Huddersfield weren't putting any kicks in to either Marshall, French, or Field. They were kind of avoiding the back three. So yeah, I think you're right. It was just used as trying to get some early meters in the tackle count.
Do you want to do Lee's White Pies?
Yeah, White Pie. Well, the first visit to the new Tottenham Stadium was a success, but as I write this review 24 hours after the game, I still have no clue how we got away with winning that. An error and penalty-ridden first half from Wigan was the total opposite of the controlled near-perfect Giants showing. Wigan's handling improved second half, but again, discipline cost us. The vast majority of the Giants' territory came off Wigan errors, 3 knock-ons, 1 inside our 20 in the first half alone, and had Lollahea kicked better, they would have won. That said, we created the better tries, and when Marshall collected the kick through, the noise was almost as loud as Manfredi's grand final try. My daughter finally made it to her first final, and as we won, she can come along to the next one. It has to be said for me, the better team lost, but I think Watson's tactics cost them in the end, as a couple of times they had us on the ropes and played the percentages by attempting to kick penalties. Had they kept rolling, I think they'd have won. Anyway, here's to number 20.
We did get a couple of late ones. Pop the Viking said Huddersfield unlucky not to get the win, but a great kick from Smith for Marshall to score the winner. And Callum Percy, the Wigan drummer, he was not far away from me again with his drum in the stadium for this one. I saw him down at the bottom of our block, kind of stood on top of the one of the entrances, I think. He had a great time. He said, "What a day out that was, and what a win. Thought Huddersfield were slightly better on the day, but we were way off our best. That boy Marshall just pulled it out of the bag, and what an assist by young Harry. Definitely the... How can Callum say young Harry? I feel like Callum's still only about 5. It's definitely the best stadium I've been to. Now time to drive up to Birmingham and fly to Magaluf tomorrow and listen to the pod on Wednesday." He's keeping the party going, isn't he? I wonder if he's taking his drumsticks to Magaluf with him.
Can I just say about the drumming that as I said, the little lad who was kind of 2 seats down from me, he was like in the second half, he was like, he'd obviously never heard drumming at the rugby before. And he's like, "Where's that drumming coming from?" And they obviously could tell it was coming from the Wigan end, and they were kind of scanning, kind of trying to find out where he is. Oh, he's there! Look, he's there. So Callum, you had an impact on a young lad that day, and plenty others, I'm sure.
The only one we didn't cover of the bands that came out of this game, well, the charges, sorry, was the grade A dangerous contact that Luke Yates gave for a late hit, which was really early in the match, actually. I remember watching it back and thinking that's a late hit, but I thought if I put that in my notes, everyone will think I'm like even more biased than they'll already think I am. But we talk about Yates' grade B high tackle, which I think was harsh, Morgan Smithy's grade C, which I think was right, and Morgan Smithy's grade B. So the headlines was Morgan Smithy's misses 4 matches, but Luke Yates also misses 2 matches, and that's more significant to me because I have to do some changes to my dream team now. But that is the cup final, well and truly recapped. We've given it the traditional SLP celebratory feel with the winning fan on board. So thanks for that, David. And I was going to say congratulations, Wigan, but congratulations us, David.
Absolutely. Just great to be. The Challenge Cup's always been an important trophy in Wigan's history, and I think Ian Lenigan said a few years ago at one of the forums that the Challenge Cup's more lucrative than the Grand Final for the club. The prize money, the Super League prize money is divvied up between the teams, whereas the Challenge Cup money is pretty close to the winners.
You can make on coach travel, on merchandise as well.
Yeah, the Challenge Cup winners stuff coming out soon as well. So it was just a fantastic day and just a fantastic occasion. I think. I'm sure you're going to cover the future of the game as well with the IMG and the league structure as well. But I think Tottenham has given the sport food for thought because it was an outstanding stadium. It might not be the ideal location. It's a little bit difficult to navigate to get to in a lot of respects. And I think the only negative I can think of as well was obviously I was with my daughter and there seemed to be a vast majority of male toilets compared to female. She had to go right to the corner near where the Leaf fans were at the far side to get to the female toilets. And whether that's the demographics of football and I'm sure Spurs did all the research on toilets needed, but yeah, she was like, there's hardly any female toilets, but there's loads of men's toilets. So yeah, food for thought on that, and food for thought as well with the timings of the cup. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because obviously it was always traditionally in May at the end of the winter season, but I just felt this season. Maybe I'm biased because we won this season as opposed to 2017 where we were defeated. And again, fair play to Liam Marshall. He's kind of exercised his personal demons about that 2017
by final that day, weren't he?
Yeah, it was. And, I don't think I certainly don't blame Liam Marshall for the defeat that day, even though he might not have had his best day. But I think for him personally, that was a massive milestone for him to get the winning try in such circumstances as exercised it, so that's forgotten about now. He's a Challenge Cup winner and he's won the trophy for us. But I think it felt more like a cup run this season because obviously we only had a couple of games after the semi-final against Saints before the final, and I think with the coverage we're getting, not just from BBC with the Challenge Cup, but also with Channel 4 with the televised games, it felt like there was a lot more momentum to this cup final because you weren't waiting 6-8 weeks for the final to come around. And from a neutral perspective as well, I mean, I'm sort of do quite a lot in the new music community with, with the radio show, etc. And I introduce some of the music community that I speak to on Twitter to Rugby League. Say, make sure you watch this game, make sure you watch that game, all the sort of ones that are on terrestrial. And that's people from Aberdeen, people from Largs up in Scotland, people from Oxfordshire, not traditional Rugby League territories. And, they were all like congratulating me on Saturday. They'd sat down and watched the game because they knew that I was going to it and Daisy was going to it. And it's a prime opportunity, and maybe it's something thinking about moving the sort of calendar a little bit and having the cup final earlier in the year and keep that momentum going. Food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, do you know what? I don't think we'll get into that this week, but people give us your views on when the Challenge Cup final should be and where the Challenge Cup final should be for us to talk about next week, because definitely FIFA thought. But right now, congratulations to the Wigan Warriors. Well done on the win. Commiserations to Huddersfield. Well done on their performance as well. Fantastic tight